Last weekend, our beloved bulldog, Salty, crossed over to become an angel, and this is the last video she was filmed in. After we adopted her through Long Island Bulldog Rescue, she lived to be 13 and a half years old in true diva style. She brought us so much joy and would be missed every day. I love pizza. Happy Friday. We're making pizza, and we're making pizza the easiest possible recipe with our discard sourdough. I think pizza is the most common thing that I make with my discard dough. People make lots of crackers, what do they call them? Crumpets in England, like English muffins. But mainly pizza, because I like pizza. I like to eat it so much, and this is so easy. And this recipe that I'm going to share with you is from the New York Times, and it uses a whole cup of sourdough discard, which is a lot. And usually I like to use a lot of it at once. And what's really interesting, I told you that I was in Maine for 2.5 months. And I left as an experiment because I'm very curious and I like to learn things, and especially about the sourdough, there's so much to learn. And I figured it might just make it. I left my sourdough, some of it, in the fridge, and Pat didn't feed it at all for 2.5 months. So when I got back, of course, there was a lot of liquid on top. It smelled very sour. It had been sitting there for 2.5 months, and I thought, it's probably dead. I hate to say it, but it's probably not going to come back. But it did come back. I just started feeding it again, took a couple of feedings, and the sourdough starter that we're going to use today is the same that I left in the fridge for 2.5 months. And it's alive and kicking and healthy. So they did it, every day I learn something new about sourdough, but it is really resilient and flexible and forgiving, and it may be one of the greatest things that we've come across in cooking. I don't know. Anyway. Back to pizza. This pizza is from the New York Times recipe. It's the one I make all the time. It does not use yeast. See, here's the trick that I'm going to teach you today, which I love. Why buy commercial yeast and use it when you have your natural leavener and your starter? So I think, and I got to check this, I'll put it in the notes. If a recipe calls for yeast, commercial yeast, that you buy in the powder form, and it says use a tablespoon, I believe a tablespoon of commercial yeast is equal to a cup of active starter or fed starter. I'm pretty sure. But check the notes. Don't quote me on what I'm saying in this video, because you know me, I forget everything. But there is a ratio, and I will put it in the notes, and it will be accurate. So today, we're gonna make the New York Times recipe for the sourdough pizza, and I've made it many, many times. The crust is delicious and gets nice holes in it, and it's very simple. So let's get started with the pizza. And you could knead it by hand, but I'm gonna use my handy dough hook here. And we're going to start with the flour. I'm gonna put the flour in here. 5.5 cups of flour, and the salt. I forgot the salt. I'll be right back. Okay. And Celia got on me about my gingerbread episode at Christmas when I forgot the recipe, because I can't remember recipes, even though I made this 25 times. So I have the recipe right here in front of me. Okay, so I need 2.5 teaspoons, and you see, it's a good thing I checked, it's only 5 cups of flour, not 5.5. 5 cups of flour, 2.5 teaspoons of salt go in here. Okay, in we go. 5 cups, I'm using King Arthur 00 flour, which I always use. 1. 5 cups. 5 cups of 00 went in. 2.5 teaspoons. Oopsie, I just pulled the thing off. 2.5 teaspoons of I'm gonna do, remember how I told you don't measure it into your, I'm gonna measure it over this. 2.5 teaspoons of salt, that's 1, 2, 2.5, right in. Okay, to that mixture, we're gonna add our warm water, our starter, and some olive oil. And it's cold, I know people are gonna be like outraged. It's chilly in Miami. And so our apartment is not 76 degrees like it usually is. So I have to put my starter to get it bubbly and active. I hope you can see that. Look at it, see the bubbles? Bubbly and active in my stove, and put the oven light on just to give it some heat. And this took a few hours. I took Salty to the vet. Poor girl, she's so old. There's always something going on. So while I took her to the vet, it was gone for a few hours. My starter almost doubled in size, but it's active. Smells nice and sour and delicious. So that's ready. Let me get the water. I need 300 grams of water, lukewarm. So we'll put it tar to 0, tar, 300 grams. You know what, I think that's like a little more. We're gonna heat that up. And it's not going to take long at all to heat it. It's lukewarm, which I guess I would consider 75 degrees to be lukewarm. Okay, you know what, while that's going, I'm just going to give this a little, I'm just mixing in the salt. Okay, so that's lukewarm. Whoops, I lost my Nancy. And you know where I discovered, this is a good tip about recipes, especially I love New York Times recipes, but they'll put up the recipe, but then you need to scroll down into the comments where all the cooks that have tried that recipe, they give their comments, they give their critiques, they give what they liked, what they didn't like, what they changed, what they adjusted. So Nancy, if I scroll down about, I don't know, 8 or 10 names, I saw Nancy said, to avoid using commercial yeast, swap in your sourdough discard. So I've been using Nancy's comment, which was put up 6 years ago. I always use that. That's where I learned about it. So thank you, Nancy. I think it's Nancy G, that's all she wrote. Okay, enough about that. So, got our dough hook on. Let's put the, I think it's a tablespoon of olive oil. Let's put that into our warm water. Tablespoon, like that. And that's gonna go into the bowl with the flour, the water, and then a cup of our starter. There we go, cup of our starter. It's right in. I don't wanna waste any. Clean hands, always clean hands before you cook. I feel like I wash my hands like 75 times a day. Okay, so let's check ourselves. We put our flour in, we put our salt, we put our starter in, we put our warm water in, we put our olive oil in. Good to go. All right, we're gonna put this on the knead. We're gonna knead this for about 3 minutes. You could do it by hand. I'm gonna bring you over so you can see what's happening in there. And you know what? While that's kneading, I'm gonna take the time to address the elephant in the room. I had a few comments, not the nicest comments, about how dirty my Martha Stewart, my favorite kitchen tool is, with Martha Stewart Dutch oven, how dirty it was. It just, in my defense, Patty, my husband, is so clean. Oops. He always cleans it, but he's really busy with his new job. And I messed this up because I used it for bread again, which I had stopped doing, because when the steam is in the oven and I'm cooking the bread, the steam picks up all kinds of stuff in the oven, and it, sticks to my enamel. And this beautiful pot, it didn't look that pretty in the last episode where I was cooking my Peruvian chicken soup, and for that I am sorry, Martha. I will clean this up, but it's going to be a bear. That's all I got to say about that. It's not that I just have a dirty thing, it's that it's really hard to clean, and I've been using it to bake my bread. So, while doing that little PSA, our dough is almost ready. We'll give you another look. This is how it's looking. Looking good. Just clean up my station while that's going. Give it about another minute. We need the olive oil, just a little. Just want to coat the inside of this, is our proofing container with a cover. This is what the dough is going to sit in overnight on the counter. It doesn't have to go in the fridge. It's going to sit overnight at room temperature, nicely oiled. That is a little too oily, to be honest, but take just a little bit out. A little too. Here. Yeah. All right. I think let's have a check. You know what? I'm gonna give it another minute while I clean up. Okay. Now, I think that's good. So let's, like this. Yeah, it feels nice. It's kind of stretchy, but not sticky. Yeah, that feels really good. Really nice. Take that off. And then, all you do is put it right into your prepared covered bowl. And we'll see it tomorrow morning, and then like tomorrow for lunch or dinner, I think we're gonna have this tomorrow for dinner, is our pizza. Done. That's it. That took 5 minutes, used up our starter, our discard, and we didn't use any commercial yeast. So easy. So that's the New York Times recipe. I'll link it in the description with the caveat that we took out the commercial yeast and used our starter. And for all you pizza lovers out there, this is the greatest recipe I've found to use our sourdough starter. So I hope you try it. Okay, so, you know what, not to rub it in, I know everybody says, oh, poor you live in Miami, you know, but it has been a colder winter than normal. And so usually the apartment is like 75 degrees just kind of normally, and that would be enough for me to leave the pizza out all night and get this kind of rise. See all the nice bubbles, and it's doubled in size, but that didn't happen. And I should have recorded it, but last night we had such a rough night with the dog, poor Salty. you know, she is, you know, over 95, 96 years old in human years, and she's struggling. And she had a really bad reaction last night to some medicine. So we just had a long night, and she had a long night, and then, you know, got up in the morning, and my pizza dough had not moved really because it was too cold in the apartment. Even 5 or 8 degrees makes a big difference. So you saw, I just pulled it out of the oven, which I put it in there this morning with just the oven light on, no heat, and it was just enough, and it's risen beautifully nice. Oh, it's so airy and puffy. So the next step, so I tell you that because I don't want you to panic. Just a temperature thing. It has to be warm enough to get that nice rise. So what we're gonna do now is just 2 stretch and folds. I'll do it right in here. I'm gonna stretch and fold, I'm gonna let it sit, and I'm gonna do another one after about a half an hour. And that's gonna develop the gluten more and the structure of the dough. Oh my gosh, look, it is so lovely to work with. Look at that. It's so airy. Oh, it's nice. There's a stretch. I don't know why. Dough is like really comforting and warm and gooey, and it's kind of like makes you feel like you're a kid again, but then you get to eat it. So we've taken the air out, we're stretching the gluten. Now we're gonna let it sit again, and I'm gonna put it back in the oven with the light on, and I'll see you back here. Okay. I love cassava. I'm still sort of doing my 75 hard. I do 2 workouts a day. I run in the morning, and then I do my weight workout 45 minutes about in the gym. And cassava, I'm not sponsored by cassava. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I would like to be, but I'm not. It's a superfood, it's a plant protein, it's an energy boost. It's like a chocolate shake. I'm using the chocolate flavor, but I love the chai flavor. I put a banana in there, adds to the creaminess, and I use coconut water. So I swear by cassava. This will be a meal replacement. Because I'm not really that hungry, but I want the protein and all the nutrients. There's so many nutrients in here, and I'll put a link to this. It's fiber, I can't read, oh my God. Healthy fats, fiber, 25% of your protein, vitamins, minerals. I'll put a link to it, and you know, maybe they'll sponsor me. It tastes like I'm having a Shake Shack. I'm honest. I'm telling you, it tastes like Shake Shack chocolate shake. Cheers to your health. So what I did there was I just did my 2 stretch and folds with 30 minutes in between to build the gluten structure for the dough. And then you saw I just rolled them out into, get a little tension on the skin, rolled them into 2 pizza doughs, and they're gonna sit in the fridge for anywhere between 8 and 24 hours. In my case, I'm gonna go more to the 24 hours because you make the pizza tomorrow. And I just covered them with a damp towel, and that's it. It's so easy. So the thing is, it takes some time, but if you just think about your schedule, and just remember to make the dough and then put it in the container. There's like just a few little steps in between, but you just sort of work it into your day. It's nothing. Then you have great pizza, great sourdough pizza. We'll see you tomorrow when we bake it up. Okay, I took them out of the fridge about 40 minutes ago and let them sit at room temperature. They look really nice, ready to shape into pizza. Okay, I preheated my cast iron skillet in a 500-degree oven. It's really hot. Put about a tablespoon. Sorry. It's too hot here. I think I could do this with paper. I left my oil brush in Maine. This is fine. Let's get the oil. Okay. So now I'm gonna put our pizza in to the hot. Oh, that's not very good. It's already starting to cook. You hear it? I didn't quite fit it right. It's fine. And I'm going to put a little bit more. Put about another tablespoon. Don't touch the sides of the pan. Gives it a nice golden crust, crispy. And I'm going to cook this in the 500-degree oven for about 5 minutes before I put my toppings on. I find that it really helps cook the dough through and get crispy. Okay, in we go. We'll give that. I'll check it after 5 minutes. Looks pretty good. Looks good. Looks really good, actually. Yeah. Let's just see how it looks underneath. Yeah, that's nice. Put a little bit more. Especially on the edges of the crust. I like that. I do. I kind of like that. Old school greasy pizza. I like that a lot, actually. Okay. And I'm also going to put, is my Parmesan on the edges. That's really nice, too. See how nicely it puffed up? Cooked through, but not totally. Just nice and airy. This looks really good. Since you made the nice pizza dough from scratch with our sourdough, save yourself some time and use a beautiful product like Rayo's jarred tomato sauce. It's delicious. probably gonna go off. About another 5 minutes cooking on 475. While pizza number 1 cooks, I'll shape up pizza number 2. Dough feels so good. Like a pro here. Pretty good. Okay, ready. Oh man, that looks good. Really good. Are we done? I think so. I could go a little further out. Jesus. I think it's good. I think it's really good. Try to, what am I gonna do? On this. Oh, smart. Oh, that's for me. Haha. Oh yeah. Oh, that's nice. Okay, I'm gonna cook my second pizza. I did a run this morning, then I'm gonna go work out in the gym and do my weights. This is torture. I hope you can see this, but let's move that. Look at the nice, you see the air holes in the dough? Can you see? Came out really nicely cooked. Cooked all the way through. This one. Cooked all the way through. That's better. Okay, you see that's nice. It's crispy on the bottom, cooked all the way through. You see that? So good. This is my pre-gym workout fuel. I have to taste test it. So. The texture you get and the air bubbles and the crispy bottom you get by pre-cooking just the dough with a little olive oil for like 5 or 7 minutes makes all the difference of the dough cooking all the way through before you put the toppings on. So that's key. And the taste of the sourdough, it's uncomparable to regular pizza dough that doesn't use sourdough starter. It is so tasty. I just love it. I hope you try it. I'm off to my workout. Not immediately, I'll let this settle. Have a great weekend. Happy pizza making. For about, I don't know, maybe $5. With that, we made 2 great sourdough pizzas. Home economics. And they're tastier than regular pizza.